Today we're going to go through my reading goals for 2024 and whether I hit them or not. We're going to first just say off the top that I just managed to hit my Goodreads challenge goal of just 42 books this year. Normally in a good year I would read at least 60. In a really good year I would read probably around 80 books, which still isn't like a ton compared to some, but for me it's a lot. But this year was crazy. I had my oldest graduating from high school and going off to college, my youngest starting high school, the middle child, made their debut in community theater. Like, there was just there was a lot going on. I haven't been writing as much, but I have been doing some editing jobs, and that takes up a lot of a lot of the same brain power I would use for reading. If I'm doing like editing, I don't want to turn around and read a book. I usually want to, watch a YouTube video or play a game on my phone or something like that. So it's been kind of, not top tier reading year, but I did hit my goal of 42. And I've got a book that I'm about halfway done with. So there's a 50-50 chance, I'd say, that I get 43 books read before the end of the year. I beat my goal by one. We'll see, I guess. Let's turn to the reading bingo card I made for myself at the beginning of the year. I'm going to look at it. We'll go over the prompts, and then we'll go over how I did. So I'll put it up here. But here are the prompts. Pre-1900s, which is a book either published pre-1900 or set pre-1900, open to interpretation there. A wedding. It doesn't have to be the point of the book. The book just has to have a wedding in it. A color in the title, memoir, biography, LGBT plus, which is kind of a gimme square for me because I read a lot of queer, stories anyway. Science, fact, or fiction, short stories / poetry, foreign culture, a reread, a new to you author, bird on the cover, indie published, any book, that's the free square, holiday spirit, any holiday, part of a series, food has to kind of be a factor in the story. I was kind of, when I put that in there, I was thinking, I'm going to read one of these books where somebody owns a bakery or whatever, and but 400 plus pages because I'm a wimp and seldom pick up a book that is more than 400 pages. So I was challenging myself a little there. Magic, history, fact, or fiction, school days, just, 2-word title, place and title, purple cover, rural setting, and music / showbiz. So those were the, prompts. And then let me just pull up, yay, the how that actually played out. Okay. So, and I'll put that up for you to see. You're going to see I did not get my blackout this year. For pre-1900s, I read Gwen and Art Are Not in Love. I didn't care for this book particularly, but it was set in medieval times, so it counts. For wedding, The Dead Romantics, because there is a wedding at the end of that book. Color in the title, Red Side Story. What is it? Memoir, biography, Behind the Door, the book about the Cecil Hotel, the one where written by the woman who had been a manager of it. There was a fair amount of memoir, autobiography involved in that, so I counted that. LGBT plus, the last book in the Binding series is incredibly, gay, for lack of a better word. Yeah. So, and there's I really like, there was the first book had a male couple focus. The second book had a female couple focus, and the third book had that last pairing, and it was nice. I really liked that series. Science, fact, or fiction, The Oracle, which was kind of a crypto bro blockchain thriller, I guess. It counts. That's stories. Yeah, I reread basically a big honkin' anthology of like fairy tales and folklore. I don't know, I just got it like the bee in my bonnet to reread a bunch of old stories I liked as a kid. Foreign culture, Empress of Time, which takes place in like feudal Japan, maybe not feudal, but what is that, the Meiji period maybe? It's a foreign culture. It's got the Shinigami and, reread Dune. New to me author, The Other Half by Charlotte something, I think. I had never read any of her books. That may even have been a debut. I'm not sure, but in any case, new to me. Bird on the Cover. Okay, so you see this one somehow magically did not get... I looked through all the cover images of the books I read, and I could not find a bird on any of them, except the book below it, which I put for food, actually does technically have the penguin, Random House penguin on the cover, on the corner of the cover. That was a bird, but the food thing made more sense for it. So no bird on the cover for any of the books I read this year. Somehow I missed out on that. I also missed out on indie published, and in my defense, I don't have an e-reader. And a lot of indie authors put their books out in, electronic form. If they're doing giveaways or sales, it's usually the ebook. I get most of my books from the library. I don't really find indie published books there. If I buy books, it's usually from Half Price Books. I don't really find indie books there either. So I just haven't found them. I haven't come across them in my usual way of finding and picking up and reading books. It's a sad reality for a lot of us indie authors. We're just not discoverable in the places where people go to find books. I'm hoping this year I will somehow find indie books to read. I guess if you're an indie author and want to send me books, that's fine, but I feel bad because I'm a mood reader and I don't want like a big stack of books I feel obligated to read because somebody gave to me, So yeah, it's unfortunate, and you can say, oh, we'll just go buy the physical book on Amazon or whatever, but that does get expensive because I know I'm an indie author. We can't price our books inexpensively. It's not even about making a profit. It's just about breaking even. Like, we just don't have the the leverage that big publishers do to get costs down. So it just sucks. The industry sucks. Okay. Any book. I read The Diamond as Big as the Ritz by F. Scott Fitzgerald because I wanted, because the Jimmy Buffett song made me want to read the story. It's like, is it a novella, I guess? I did a whole video about this book story, whatever you want to call it. And you are welcome to go watch me rant about The Diamond as Big as the Ritz. Holiday Spirit. I put the Gunkel because it takes place actually over summer vacation, but they have this whole Christmas in July thing that they do, so I figured it counted part of a series. I periodically reread volumes of Nozaki-kun because, especially when I'm feeling down, because it never fails to make me laugh, so I reread one of those at some point and put that there. Food. So the book I just finished reading, the book that helped me hit my Goodreads goal, is the book of Ichigo Ichie, which focuses on the Japanese tea ceremony as kind of a foundation for a life philosophy, if you will. I guess it's a self-help book to some extent, but it's more like a life philosophy book in my mind. So, yeah, that was kind of what I counted as food. 400 plus pages. That's the John Berendt book. He wrote Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, and then he wrote this other one about Venice, and I can't remember. City of Fallen Angels, I think is what it's called. I was looking at this tiny like, you know. And yeah, that was a big chonker of a book. So I counted Magic, That Old Flames, New Beginnings. I don't know. It had magic in it. History, Fact or Fiction, Agony Hill, which is set in the 60s in Vermont, I want to say. There was some Vietnam protesting, so maybe it's the 70s. But anyway, sorry, I'm like, it counts as being historical because it's set in the past. School Days, Pearl, the protagonist of that book, a lot of that story is about her going to school or actually not going to school, like ducking out of school, avoiding school. I don't know. Books like that, did I talk about it in the video when I did? Like, I can't not go to school and be where I'm supposed to be because I get too anxious. So when I read about a protagonist who's doing that, I'm just like, I don't know, I can't connect. 2-word title, The Evangelicals. I counted that as a 2-word title because I don't include subtitles when I'm thinking of the title. So The Evangelicals counts as a 2-word title for me. What is this one? Place and title. Close to Death. Okay, so I counted that as a place in the title because the close is actually the place where the murder takes place. Close is the something close, river close, or I can't remember, but like it's part of the name of the neighborhood. I counted it. Purple cover. So obviously the cover is not entirely purple, but it does have a distinctly purple border. The Last Devil to Die. You know what? It's my bingo board. I can count it if I want to. What is this one? Rural setting. So, yeah, I mean, the only one left is it's kind of a rural setting, right? It's up on a cliffside or whatever this house is, where the person works as a nurse or whatever, caretaker. So yeah. And then music / showbiz, Haunting on the Hill, is that what it's called? Anyway, it's the person who tried to write a sequel to The Haunting of Hill House, right? It's not a great book, but I counted it as music / showbiz because the people are at the house to work on a play. They're there to, like, the writer and the sound effect guy and one of the musicians, and a couple of the actors are all at the house to get this play written, or at least partially written or something. And so I counted that for that category. So that was my 2024 reading bingo, such as it was. And now I can show you the new bingo card for 2025 that I made. So here it is, a book about books, because there are a lot of books out lately set in bookshops, or about the history of bookshops or whatever. Wasn't there one in the Goodreads Choice Awards, and it was like a history of bookstores or something? Anyway, I kind of want to read that, and so to incentivize myself, I put it on my bingo card. Yellow covers, so we'll see if yellow is easier to find than purple. New to you author, that's kind of a standard. I try to always pick up somebody I haven't read. Illustrated, which I kind of wanted to just make broadly so that graphic novels, manga, picture books, any kind of illustrated book would count. Pets, they don't have to be central to the story, they just have to be there. I guess they need to be enough of the story for it to count. I don't know, you kind of have that internal gauge, right? A foreign setting, again, some of these are pretty standard for me. A mystery, I like mysteries. I didn't read as many of them this year as I normally do, so we'll see. 3-word title, LGBTQ+, God or gods, so whether that's fiction or nonfiction, mythology or theology, however you want to interpret it, a reread, a film or TV adaptation, because sometimes you watch a movie and you go, oh, it's based on a book, I kind of want to read the book now. I felt that way about Conclave, so I might pick up that book, I don't know. Any book. The 1980s works just like pre-1900s in the last one, where it's like it can be set in the 80s, it could have been published in the 80s, whatever. Flowers on the cover, which I think will be much easier to find than birds, because every time I was looking at covers trying to find a book that I had read that had a bird on the cover, there were a lot of them with flowers, but no birds in the flowers, I don't know. So I was like, okay, you know what? That should be, now watch, that trend's going to be over and I'm not going to be able to find a book with flowers on the cover, so, memoir or biography, I always try to read at least one, and this, helps prompt me to do that. Love, any kind of love, it could be a romantic novel or could be, familial or whatever, but friendship, spooky. Again, I wanted to be broad. I didn't want to be like, oh, it has to be ghosts or it has to be a haunted place. It just has to be kind of eerie, right? Entertainment industry, which is kind of like the music showbiz one, where it just needs to be somehow attached to that, whether it's a celebrity memoir or, or biography, or just it's a fiction about an influencer or whatever. Just something vaguely related to the entertainment industry. Future, again, I'm not a big sci-fi reader, but like just something that has futuristic, feel or tone or ties. Could be dystopian, could be the near future, where things are just slightly more technologically advanced, or maybe it's the future where we've gone backwards because technology has failed, whatever. It just needs to be future-esque. Favorite author, part of a series, doesn't have to be the first book in the series, just needs to be part of it. Humor, because I haven't read a good humor book in a while. I used to love to read Dave Barry. One of my favorite books to revisit is What Do You Hear from Walden Pond by Jack Douglas. And so I kind of would like to find more humor essays, kind of thing. So I'm going to go looking for that, I think. If you have recommendations, let me know. Psychology, again, could be nonfiction, but could also be like a psychological thriller, some kind of fictional, psychology, brain twisty story. And classics, which are subjective, as long as you can make a case for it being a classic, it'll count. And that is the board for 2025. Hopefully I can do better with it than I did with 2024. That is, what reading goal? I should set a reading goal for I'm probably going to stick with about 40 books. I'm going to start at 40 and see where I go from there. If it looks like 40 is going to be too easy, I'll up it. But I barely made 42 this year, so I just want to give myself a fighting chance, depending on how things go, whether I do more editing jobs. I'd like to get back to writing, and if I'm writing, I'm usually not reading. So yeah. I'm gonna start with 40 as my goal for the year, and we'll see how it goes from there. Anyway, let me know how you did on your reading goals, and whether or not you do like a bingo card, or you're free to use this one if you want. And until next time, when we get on with like reading stats and things, until then, take care.